squad, I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown. It's your fool, bitch. So just step back. I'm mad that when I come down straight, I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. Won't want people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
I will buy. Get something in your rear. 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 I will buy. Get something in your rear.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you wanna roll with?
Lefty, let's start with a joke. What's red and keeps you running day in and day out?
What's that?
The stock market, of course. It's down real hard right now. We got Trump has increased the tariffs on Canada up to 50% on the steel and aluminum, as announced today. Literally after yesterday, the Premier of Canada literally made threats to follow through if these were escalated and could just shut off a lot of electricity to America. We're reeling right now between the economy, the stock market, and everything because of the uncertainty. There is no definitive plan being put out. There's talks about a fear of a recession upcoming. They're both, you're hearing both messages, no and yes, from the administration, but it's a real mess. It's a real mess. And I mean, what do you say? Like we're less than 3 months into his administration, and here's a joke: is butt cheeks one word? Because I like to spread them. I'm gonna take my head off my own body and put it in the fridge. It's ridiculous. God damn, that's that. What a way to just rob my momentum. Like, are you for real? Like, I can barely ever keep myself on that kind of straightforward train of free thinking thought, and you come in with a butt spreading joke that throw me off my game. Oh, that ain't cool. That ain't cool.
What's that?
That's not good. That's bad.
What's that, brother?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's two words. It is 2 words.
Thanks.
No, that's right. It's 2 words. You count them. Make sure it's 1, 2.
Good. The third confirmation that butthole is 2 words.
Well, 2 syllables. Amazing.
So here's another one we didn't get to discuss. I think I found this out after I left the party on Saturday. So did you happen to hear a recent interesting move that was made by the Department of the Justice or Defense? Basically what they've done is they've highlighted certain DEI terms that they want scrubbed from the internet, deleted completely. And within this list, you see the Enola Gay, the plane that famously dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Another example of something on that list is I think a recently retired sergeant with the last name Gay. Are you catching up a pattern here?
Oh, they're using IA.
Rachel Maddow did a report on this, and honestly, I think she deserves a goddamn award for it because, God, she just go watch it if you hadn't. But basically, they typed in the word gay and tried to delete everything associated with the word gay from the internet.
No.
Yes.
There was a guy one time, forget his first name.
No.
Rudolph, sorry, Gay was his last name.
Yes.
And he won the 100-meter dash. And they reported it as Rudolph dot, you know, dot, or 3, guess what letters, you know, or whatever.
Oh, I thought wow.
They omitted printing his name because it was automatic, I guess. You know?
No, there was a recent. I was just telling Lefty, the Department of Justice has a list compiled of things they want scrubbed from the internet that retain to DEI terms and whatnot. And it basically the one you can tell right away. The first thing that they brought up on that report from the list was the Enola Gay, the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima.
Yeah, well, there's a reason to not mention it.
No, what they did was they just did a search for the word gay and auto-selected and put it in a list.
Well, then you can't sing the Flintstones theme song, you know?
What?
You can't say Deck the Halls with Gale.
Oh,
you know?
God.
No, but you can't do
Wait, Flintstones.
You know, the Flintstones will have a gay old time.
Yeah.
They removed all the gay from the internet, Fred.
Well, I'm pretty sure Barney and Fred had a thing going, though, so maybe they got a point. Who knows?
Nope. We were strictly business partners. Nothing gay going on at all. Right, Fred?
What was the other one, Jim?
What?
You said you got a second one. Deck the Halls?
Deck the Halls.
Yeah.
No.
Don we now are gay apparel. Come on.
Gay apparel.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of that.
There's another Christmas song with the word gay in it. I think that's just a church hymn. Yeah.
Yeah, cancel that too.
What time's our guest coming on, by the way?
She will be joining us any minute.
Who's our guest?
Tell me something about her first. I looked up the Facebook page and it was, you know.
She's a disability activist and she's really cool. She checks all our boxes because she's disabled and I believe she uses cannabis to help her ailment. So,
love that. I've got ears for this.
I'd like to learn more about her too because I'd like to know more about her activism in where she's at. She's across the country.
Yeah. Well, now in her activism, she's going to.
Well, let's ask her.
We'll find out.
Hello, Jessica. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. I apologize. I'm getting past a cold. I will do my best, but at least I sound like one of the guys this way.
I just recently had a bug leave my body, so I get what you're going through. It's that time of year. It's that time of year. Jessica, it's great to have you here. I've heard a little bit about you so far, and I'm loving what I hear. I will disclose with you myself. I have autism and club feet. I know the disability game. So first thing I want to ask you right away is when I talk to people about organizing for disabilities and, the people say back to me, you gotta network, you gotta go to them, and you gotta rally people together. My mind goes to me going to the door and trying to rally someone's disabled son, daughter, whatever, and we all know that they're not all on the same functioning level. So
not everyone can participate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
So my question is that as far as rallying people together in this environment, how do you go about doing that without touching on the societal stigma of not rallying together, and how that can seem to be sometimes dangerous in this environment?
Fabulous questions. Yeah, that's something I'm trying to tackle out here in the Northwest myself. What I've started with is social media groups where we can just gather first. First, we have to gather, find each other. And then right now I'm polling the group because we're going to be gathering in public with signs and banners, doing some pop-up parades at intersections. And as far as I'm concerned, we can start small. You can start small at your local intersection. You don't even have to go far. And the ones that don't have a voice or can't physically participate the way they'd like to, we can figure it out. Not only can we get you to join, through the video chat, your voice will be a part of it. We can also make sure that your concerns are being presented. Everyone can participate, and maybe not as often as others, which is also very realistic. So someone like me, I think once a week is a lot, but that's my first goal. And anyone who can attend with me is welcome. If I'm the only one holding up a sign, that's good enough.
Yes.
It just takes one.
We understand that and agree with you. I can speak on everybody's behalf. I can't tell you the number of times, actually in the 1990s and early 2000s, I was probably by myself and my wife in a wheelchair, but that's like one person.
I applaud you.
Nobody else there. And
I
you're right
applaud
about you're right about the street law already, and concurring. I'm agreeing with you and saying that just going to a familiar street corner is pretty good. It doesn't have to be associated with anything where you are. A lot of times you can go to somebody's office and people don't even know that's that person's office if it doesn't have a big sign. So it's good to get used to it in a familiar area. And what I found to be two things to be true. I always do a post-mortem of, is there anything else I could have done better, no matter what I do? That sign sure didn't look good. That's not a good background. Okay, next sign's going to be better. So I also agree that you start small. And I agree that you really shouldn't look to the future, because you kind of set yourself up for failure with a bad estimate. And it's not failure, it's a failed estimate. But people think I expected more people. That didn't happen. Therefore, it wasn't a success. Because like one person goes by and gets something and a horn beep, you don't know what's downhill from that. And I'll explain. And then I want because this actually helps you understand, I guess, who we are in the beginning. So you can understand how well we're going to understand.
I can tell you, as someone who, and I'm sure you can understand this to a degree, I grew up as a child of autism in the 90s. And for me, that was going to school and being coddled a lot. I only the past couple of years have been able to articulate it like that, but it's definitely something that I struggled with through my school life, through a lot of assistance until I got myself to the place where I am, where I'm articulate and I can get my point across. How do you avoid giving that that vibe off to the people you're trying to help?
We will. I love that neuroscience is just advancing hand over fist. This current administration scares the snot out of me. Things are going to slow down for a minute, but that's okay. You keep going slow, and every little bit to that snowball that we add is building our snowball. So one day we will get our society to that point. Like out here in Washington, we already have it where the teachers are inviting parents to attend classes with their kids. I don't know how they expect people to financially afford that. That's also something we really need to assist with. But better education for our teachers. We need better partnerships with our parents and children and education. It's all together.
And I
none of
love
us
how
are perfect.
I love how you started that with, listen, let's get this administration out of the way, and then we can actually have a real conversation about that. And you know what? I'll tell you one thing. It says a lot about it says a lot about this because I don't like listening to him speak, but I would love to go have a long, drawn-out conversation with RFK and then not tell him at all that I have autism until the end.
Yeah, that'd go over well.
But again, I don't like listening to him talk at all. At all. I think there's a line where, if everyone has, the ability to achieve and, do whatever they want. But at a certain point, if you're at that point in our society where you're representing us, I should be able to listen to you speak without, I feel it in my throat. Like it's uncomfortable. But yes, I identify with you. This administration scares the shit out of me. And it's mostly for, people with disabilities. Yes, everyone's suffering right now. They can fight back to a large scale on their own. A lot of people with disabilities can't.
People forget that DEI is actually DEIA. So whenever you hear someone talk about DEI, make sure you say A. That's for accessibility. That's us.
That's a great point. I don't know what they benefit
from, like strategically or politically, from just like cutting the
Thank
A.
you. Yeah, I don't hear that enough. I hear DEI all the time. I know that's wrong. Yeah,
because they want the other side wants to connect DEI with a skin color, not what it really is. DEIA, it's everyone.
Like Judy Heumann fought for all these things that they're rolling back on the Section 504. They're taking all the things away that she fought for.
Yes, 17 states right now.
Do you look for fundraising to get people out? I was impressed today. Protect Our Medicaid rally that I didn't find out about till it was already in progress for 45 minutes out of 2 hours, but I lived pretty close to Trenton. So we got out there, my significant other and me, and because she wanted to get out to just take part, to show up and be part of it, even part of a head count. So showing up, like you're saying, just show up small is what starts it. But what I was impressed about with them is they said they did have a good grant, a decent sized grant. So they got 300 people there, but I counted, give or take 24 wheelchairs. Now in a group of 24 wheelchairs saying, well, if you can get to the train station in Trenton, we'll get you back in there starting at 11. And they were prepared. And they had 2 portable toilets that were accessible, and it seemed to actually be okay. There wasn't, but the point is they did it really good. As far as getting there, the whole organization of what they were going to do when they got there, it was good enough. I mean, if I'm going to be frank, it was good enough, but I'm like, oh man, somebody has to be able to tell somebody, don't turn your head away while you're talking. Little things. I mean, I don't know how you go about doing that, but do you hope to get any kind of funding? Because there is people that would like to get out and maybe can't, and they do have money or they know somebody, and everything you've described sounds every bit as fundable as what I just went to, and it was like really good. I would wish you luck in that if you made such an effort, and
Thank you, Jim.
even a GoFundMe with the $5 things. And I'm not one to really suggest things like that because I kind of follow other people's leads on such fundraising. But I've seen it be done. It really depends on what you want it for and who it's directed at. In this case, it was directed at the harm disruption in Medicaid services would do to these heart-wrenching stories, and a couple of political candidates who had something to say about it. And, it was good. And how do you go about it without it seeming like a political rally? Because they found sort of a medium. Sure, people were naming names.
Thank you, Jim. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
But they did. I think they, by and large, achieved that. And all I could do to familiarize myself with something was look at your Facebook page, and I looked at something that was on their group. Maybe we get 100 people to watch this together, but no political discussion, and it was a disclaimer for doing something. And I find the same thing myself as an example at the hippie tribe gatherings, which were basically gatherings where it was a bunch of farmers and hippies in South Jersey anyway. And it was selling cannabis at much discount gray market prices. And they opened with some impunity, but it's also an area where there was probably as much red as blue doing that easily there. And it was never once an issue though.
Advocating for access for all of us is bipartisan.
Yeah.
My page is called Disabled Now or Later.
I like that. Yeah,
yes,
right.
I'm playing off the
you're gonna if you're not disabled now, chances are you will be later. And when you think about the very end of people's life, especially, I mean, if
you
you're
get a stroke,
if you're in an adult, what do you call it, assisted living. You're really not getting out because you're disabled in many, sure they have a bus that might be able to take you out, but even then.
Well, and that's another step that we can all do in our own communities. Here in Vancouver, Clark County, Washington, in September of last year, we started our own ACAC, which is the Accessible Community Advisory Committee, and we meet monthly.
I can see a Lefty smile and nodding his head.
Yeah, we meet monthly with county officials. We advocate, we advise, we educate the public. We make sure there's access. We're about to take some of the park officials who are building our parks. We're going to take them on wheelchair rides. Eventually, if I can get funding, I would love to get hiking backpacks and leg weights, some low vision glasses to really put people through the ringer of experiencing a disability. I'm going to start with civic leaders, but it would be amazing to get funding to go into the schools, any public schools from college to high schools and elementary.
The disability challenge is something
I go to council meetings for years. I've been to probably 1,000 council meetings talking about things like this. Yep. And I ask each council member, will you get in this wheelchair and spend a day in a wheelchair? And no, nobody will take me up on it. Not one in all these years has taken me up on that, to spend a day in a wheelchair. Not even an hour in a wheelchair.
I used to do that quite a bit back in the day when I was taking care of Cheryl and her reclining wheelchair. It even looked like fun. Oddly enough, I had to get her medicine. My car wasn't working. It was a mile away, and it was really hot. And she has an electric wheelchair. So I got in the wheelchair because I seriously didn't think I could walk there and back. And oddly enough, I noticed, I couldn't believe how many people did that. I saw so many people looking another way, and I don't know. Just that. I mean, I was always conscious because I saw I was the guy behind the wheelchair for Cheryl Miller for a lot of years. 12 of them were some pretty showing up type activism. One thing we learned though too is an obvious disability gets an advocate a head start. It's easier to open doors.
The visual versus
no,
invisible.
just yeah, exactly. If I show up with Cheryl laying back, and like that, and she has a hard time talking, but she's kind of like, tight. I moved her head and shoulders some, but that would always open the door. And then I had to be sharp with my bullet points and not like it sounded like I was poking somebody in the chest when I said something, no matter what I thought of that. And I don't know, you strike me as a similar sort of motive person and understanding, because it is perception when we know that somebody's lying and they're creating an alternate perception, because perception is kind of the name of the game if a person's not sure which way, but Lefty cashes in on that all the time. I mean, just like
I know you're awesome, Lefty. I've seen you in action.
So Jessica,
I can see. I was happy to see that you're going to be a guest, because I know that this is. I don't know. It just reinforces everything Lefty's doing. I mean, who goes around crosses the same intersection, crosswalks? 22 feet. I looked at Google Earth. You can get a good idea of distance, on a close up. And it's 22 feet times 4. And he just goes around and cars have to stop, but you have to see if they know to stop. And then
right.
Then people call the police on him.
Yep.
And that saves them the trouble of calling the police. And
so that's another area. Yeah. No, you're dead on. That's another area. We're just about to invite the DMV to have a meeting with us with ACAC. There is a lot of lack of knowledge when it comes to pedestrian laws, crossing in traffic.
Well, that should be between the DMV and local law enforcement. I
feel like that's just gotten lost over the years with people, the driving situation deteriorating as much as it has. I mean, let's be frank, like we had it like decent enough where the cops were doing their jobs in like 2015. And then as we eased into the era of legalization, and once we got there, once they lost their sniff test, they stopped doing their job. And then people just started running amok. Like I witnessed it all the time. Some of the most deplorable driving I've ever seen, where people are trying to cross the road. Some people, walkers, wheelchairs, and it's the one always going the fastest is the pickup truck, which never makes any sense to me.
Yeah, we don't want. That's a whole nother story. The pickup drivers. I was appalled when I visited Delaware last year, and a couple years before that. I was visiting the Camden, Wyoming, Dover area, and access is so miserable. Drivers are rude, and there's a lot of education. You guys got a lot of work ahead of you, but that's what we're doing over here too. I'm not afraid of dying anymore since my lesion on my spine. I had to die 5.5 years ago because of how I couldn't do it. I was building houses before this. I was a strong gal, like leading the boys, and now I'm not, so, I'm doing art and trying to, I do a lot of therapy too, let me tell you.
But you're alive. Like
that's the best part of being disabled and poor in America. I got to start healing, emotionally and mentally and be late diagnosed ADHD and CPTSD.
Now, Thank you for reminding me. I wanted to ask you, within the people you work with and advocate for, do you have any other cannabis patients that you deal with?
I'm in Washington. Most of us are
Right.
cannabis patients. We just don't. Most of us don't worry about the card anymore.
So
I am
have
so
you
happy
had?
for you guys.
So let me pivot then to, I guess, this question: have you had anyone with these disabilities that you work with any time within your career share with you their benefit with cannabis on their that it had on their disability?
Almost every interaction, every time you get to know a person, most people, there are some people where the chemistry isn't for their body, and that's understandable. I know that they prefer CBD oils or I don't know the CBG. I can't remember the different acronyms, but they're finding relief in other ways with the plant at the same time, and so uh, it's really a panacea. And I've myself have seen it work miracles. I had an immunocompromised disease. I guess it's not really disease, but psoriasis popped out when I was 26 years old, and the doctor told me it was in my genes, and because I was overstressed, it was emitting. And I tried everything to get rid of it. He said the only way to get rid of it was to de-stress my life. And remind you, I'm poor in America. So I did my best. Nothing made it go away until my sister made me a concoction that it just had uh, oil and like lavender, just simple little things in it. And I used that. Within 24 hours, my symptoms were starting to disappear. So it didn't heal. I still had to work on my stress, but I had horrible cracked skin that would bleed just at the touch. You look at it, it would bleed. And it cleared it up. And I mean, I just, whew, that was the first time I was, like I said, 26. I went from this is my head medicine to, dear Lord, this is medicine. And since then, it's not stopped. I have a million stories like that.
That's incredible. That's any kind of boomerang like that anyone does with their whatever they're dealing with is always just an incredible story to hear. And like we said, you're living, you're not doing what you used to do, but you're doing your art. And you know what? It sounds like that treatment there put things in perspective and helped you think rationally about things.
Indeed.
And that's really what has helped me, like that simple practice, and even like weaning my cannabis towards it a little bit to help aid it has been one of the greatest discoveries I've made about myself. Just like the fact that I need to be able to, sometimes I'm going to need a little more help focusing or uplifting myself mentally. So it's always interesting when I learn something new about cannabis, more so than anything else, because we start out knowing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They keep it away from us. It was a money thing.
Finding out that something works. I mean, it's one thing when it happens to an individual, but when it is something that somebody already knows about anything common, whether it be cancer or multiple sclerosis or glaucoma or anything, a lot of that, is known, but that's been a process over decades. And I've always regretted that MS was late to the table because of the National MS Society, playing fast and loose with some stuff. So I hated being at odds with them, but somebody had to be, and because it's don't you wish you'd known sooner, So with the main things it's out, but I'm sure all sorts of things that maybe others don't. So anytime you get out and somebody becomes aware of it, again, something, nobody pats you on the back, you don't know what happened, but it is about being visible. As to that, what do you think your next going out to a street intersection somewhere? Do you have something specific planned yet, or not?
Yeah, I have a poll going to find out if people can meet up this Friday or Saturday on March 25th. I also want to have the viewing, which again, Jim, I applaud you. If it wasn't for you and people like you in the 90s, we wouldn't even be as far along as we are today. So thank you so much.
The hope is always, it'll happen without any one individual. But if you ask yourself, is there a possibility I can help move the needle with a really small amount? It seems incumbent upon me. And I'm real close to stepping back because there is a lot going on, but there's just still so much not going on of simple nature. And a lot of it has to do with showing up. To be somebody's first time in public holding a sign. And, I guess that really depends on, one good thing is if the windows are closed, you can't really tell a screw you from a thank you horn beat, maybe they're just, so I always, of course, that there will be people that disagree no matter. And somehow I think I've seen people that's what empower them, because they go by, it doesn't hurt, and it's gone. And you sort of get used to it. And then you almost feel sorry for some people like that. But
they're having a bad experience, just pooping on everyone else.
And then when somebody does that, and it doesn't have to be for a long time. Seriously, 1 hour seems way long, It's almost getting used to it, getting comfortable. And I have never seen anybody left disappointed and not feeling more empowered than when they went to the first time. I call her my better 2/3, but that's because I get where I'm going on time because of her, and that's important. But anyway, she got to see a show up where it was going to be a matter of we would be asked to leave, and we had a right to be there, and the police would come, and it was a shoe, and it was Democratic Ocean County Democratic headquarters, and it was election day, so you knew somebody would call the police. But
I'm ready to be arrested. I'm ready to call the police first.
Yeah.
We need to be ready to be recording at all times.
Why would, first of all, call the police first that's my style. How did you come about that? Did somebody else do that and you thought that makes sense?
No, just because in the line of police work, whoever calls first is going to get the attention first.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're in the right. If you're not jaywalking and they can't, you have to have, they have to be able to see you and slow down. So you have to use a little logic when you're playing this game of Frogger.
Yeah. Well, it depends where you are, Yeah.
Because my own personal experience is I have an intersection I'm trying to cross. They can see me. Some people want to be assholes. I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but
you say worse than that.
Oh, yeah,
okay, good. And I make them stop. And if they want to be worse than an asshole, I call the police. I've had this happen twice now. I had one officer, she was female. She started but why didn't you go down to the crosswalk? I said, I was in an intersection legally crossing. Yeah, but why didn't you go down to the crosswalk? I don't have to explain that I only have so much battery. I only have so much time that I can travel without pain stopping me and making me have to go back home. I don't have to explain that because I'm legally crossing in an intersection. And so I immediately ask for a supervisor.
Good.
Because there's no point in arguing with them.
Good.
You don't want to be that problem. You just know your rights, be solid, firm. The supervisor is immediately going to school them. And, I've let both people go. One person I was really going to press charges on, but I was like, just
do you ask that they almost always have their body cam on, almost always, But I find in a situation like that, this thing is your body cam on.
I
That's all.
don't have one,
No, I
and I
mean,
need to
yeah,
purchase one.
but even if you did have one, or it's asking them, and it will be on almost every time they're gonna go. Yeah, it's on, because that's kind
It's
of what
funny.
they're under orders to do. You
And
know, I mean, and so if they do, but I mean, you obviously got to request. But just doing that nicely notifies them that you've been down this road before, and you just want to make sure. You know, I'm sure your body's cam's on, isn't it? You know, that sort of thing. But it does, you know, and with me,
Yeah, we want everyone recording as much as
yeah,
possible. That's, I
yeah,
mean,
well,
Yeah, I
I'm
do this
ADHD,
as
so I
well.
always forget.
yeah.
and you know what's funny
I do
about that?
crosswalk activism. Yeah, I do crosswalk activism as well. I go around in a circle for as long as my wheelchair can do it. And I have a mask on. I have signs on because I'm trying to
I
get
know,
a
I love it. The
traffic light.
Mexican wrestler.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a traffic light for blind people. And people think I'm El Rampador. My name is El Rampador.
El
And I go
Rampador.
around
I
that
love it.
circle and I do it till the cops come, because people get mad. They get mad and they call the cops. The cops come and they're like, oh, yeah, you're allowed to go in a circle. And I just keep going in a circle, and I'm going to keep doing it until I get my traffic light on that corner.
Record.
And you know
Record
what's
those
funny
people
about-
getting mad. Make money off of it.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what's
I
funny
call out their license plates. I call out the license plate with my camera, and they get mad when I call out their license plate on film.
Do you always go counterclockwise?
I try to. Yes.
And the funny thing about the recording is that, you know, I totally agree with that sentiment, obviously, but so many times I've talked to people about, like, you know, I've been in Ubers and I've said, we've gotten the conversation about, like, you know, the police aren't pulling people over, driving crazy. And they're like, oh yeah, because the people put the phones in their faces. Well, rightfully so. Like, I love that. That's the reason. Like, well, oh, that's why they can't do their job. Oh, because they can't be like held accountable. That's why they can't do their job.
One of
Because they're all
Lefty's
like,
first.
it's such a wild defense.
Lefty started what was called the INE tour. Ignorance is no excuse, because when medical cannabis passed in New Jersey, nobody knew the law. You know, nobody knew the law. So it was almost, well, confiscate and let the courts. No, you don't. No. So he started going. But what I found funny was that was long enough ago when Lefty, I forget where it was. You may or may not remember, because I went to like a few in the beginning and then some in Atlantic City. But one we went into, you were recording semi-surreptitious, clandestine. I got to have synonyms ready quicker than that. I know. First stutter, not stuttering.
Very abrupt with that.
Yeah, but he's like, are you recording that? And you were like, yeah. Well, go ahead, you record it. You don't have to do that. You have a right to do that. Why are you know? So he kind of bitched at you for hiding what he knew you have a right to do. That was the last time you ever.
I hope the next time I have to deal with police and I pull out my phone and they say, are you recording this? I'm like, yeah, I'm making content.
Well, Lefty, just so you know how special it was so simple. It was the lowest common denominator. He would show up and say, hi, I'm Lefty Grimes. I'm a medical cannabis patient, well, marijuana patient in New Jersey. I have my state sanctioned medicine here. I'm in pain and I'm going to smoke some of my medicine. I'd like you to tell me where's the closest place to the door that I can go and do that without you arresting me. And it put it on them, and I couldn't believe more often, right? More often they didn't know, and the most go-to thing was the county prosecutor. They would go to the county prosecutor for advice. So it was so then it was called the ignorance is no excuse tour, because it used to be like, you know, you say, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know. Ignorance is no excuse for the law.
Yeah.
So you know, but to be able to do that, his natural progression then, of course, was accessibility for people who have accessibility issues, because there's so many that were the cannabis patients that we're representing, that Lefty, needing assistance as he does himself, sort of started stepping out for that. And just so you know, yes, it's 88 feet, 1 square if he stays close to the left as he goes counterclockwise. And I looked up, estimated how many times he's gone. It's an estimate. And I came up with how many miles it was. And it was something like 29 miles as an example.
Well, there's.
And I looked it up. It's really odd. If you look up Timbuktu, New Jersey, there is a Timbuktu, New Jersey. So Lefty went around that intersection enough miles to go all the way from there to Timbuktu. You know,
Oh, it's fabulous.
yeah, and but it literally, it's kind of funny, you know, because people think it's hyperbole, and we're certainly used to hyperbole on the national stage. I'm just saying that to say something like that, you just want somebody to bite, you know, because they think of it as over like near Marrakesh or something.
But that's like it's the fishing, it's the baiting, it's the trying to get people to react when you're like. I used to get so distressed dealing with the police because when I was dealing with them, it was because I was nervous. It's because I had weed on me. It was before it was legal. And between, you know, just what stage I was at with my autism and the fact that, you know, when you're confronted like that, you know, you have that on you at the time, how that affects your mind. It was a completely different situation than me dealing with the police today. I can't tell you how much stronger I felt once legalization happened. And like I next interactions I had with cops were just, well, I mean, I got wrongfully arrested and thrown, but that was another story altogether. It's just much, I can actually talk to them and not feel afraid. I don't feel afraid of them because I know I have a defense. I know I'm aware, like I knew I had rights before, but like knowing how to utilize them properly, and knowing what to say, when to say it.
Yes.
Oh, I have advice, and I forget quick. So when I interrupt, sometimes if it's, yeah, I can be waved off, but it leads too quick too. And if I don't make notes, anyway, I'm the one that makes signs, and I've been making signs since my first one in 1993 when I walked across state pushing Cheryl's wheelchair without her in it. You know, it said medical marijuana for MS, you know. And I, over the years, developed a style. And the short version for people, if they want to make themselves a sign, 1-inch marker, you know, and don't let all the letters crowd up to the right side. You know, it's always the big letters and then they get real, you know, skinny. And it just relaxes them a little bit, you know.
Typography 101 with Jim.
Oh, yeah,
it's Miller style. Is that a beard dance you do? No, that's Jim Miller's style of typography. Isn't that obvious?
I would make up dozens of signs for anyone and make them look, I don't mean different, you could kind of tell mostly, but I had like 2 pieces of deftly cut plywood like this wide, about like maybe 3 feet, and then they were hinged with other piece and a little short screw, so it could be trapezoid or up to 5 inches. But if I wanted 3-inch letters, trapezoid to that, tighten the screw, and I had top and bottom, so you could just start till and everything went straight, and I could section things. But in a minute, but man, I used to take pictures. I mean, it's like crazy having that many signs.
A business plan there. I mean, we're about to have a revolution in this country. You might as well get them prepped.
Yeah,
absolutely, and I mean, just sharing any information you can with, like, you know, the people you're doing similar causes or really just fighting for under the same general umbrella. Yeah, all for it. Share your ammunition.
What do you think?
I love the idea of how meticulous what Jim was in the description of how he went about that. Like, I picture Jim coming in as a typography professor. He walks in, it's just like, all right, guys, listen up. Look to your left, look to your right. 3/4 of you will be dead by the end of this class by your own hand. The rest of you will know how to make signs.
Well,
what do you call that? That's a 3/4 inch marker. That's no 1 inch. Get out of here.
Child's play.
Well, I think, you know, also creativity. I've made signs for everybody. 13 when 13 assembly people voted against post-traumatic stress being an indication into the program, and there were veterans testifying at committee hearings. 22 suicides per day, and so I do that, and that's always fun. But signs are just signs. And then I look back and I see an old picture of Cheryl and me back in the day. There was a corner right near the firehouse where the people would vote, and you had to be so many feet away with a sign from a voting place, and that was certainly beyond that limit. But it was a unused corner, not right at the corner, but the road that leads up where people would stop and slow down and see you. There was like everybody's signs in there. So Senator Andy Ciesla had a big kind of sign, like maybe about like 6 by about maybe 8 feet high. It was, a regular wooden, decently painted sign. And Cheryl was sitting there with a big sign I made that simply said Andrew Ciesla, and a big red circle with a slash through it. And against something to do with medical marijuana, and then that, and I was always most proud of that somehow, it was, it said a lot without saying anything at all. What do you think would be a sign you're going to carry to for wherever you go, and like how targeted? There's a lot of target points to the composite of what you're doing. There's not one rally cry fits all.
I think my biggest concern in my community right now are the number of deaths that we've had, the traffic homicides. We've had 3 vulnerable citizens, but a total of 10 altogether in 2024. And so as someone who, I make a presence of myself going around in my wheelchair because not everyone can. I have my voice, and so I get out there and inform the county and city when curb drops need to be corrected or access needs to be corrected. I'll go to a business and let them know that their sign is blocking access on the sidewalk, and be real polite about it, or give them a call and tell them it's an unofficial call. Because I work with the ACAC, I get to sound a little official.
That sounds official enough,
But I'm feisty, so keeping me professional is good. We want to help change people's attitudes, not beat them up over.
And it's even in conversation. If you talk about somebody and their cronies, you're biased. It's certain words you don't really use even to make a point you'd like to make. And whether or not, privately, there's certain people I don't preface their name with the word president. But when I'm talking to somebody or writing, I always do, whether I like that or not.
Learned, don't ask questions. If you want to lead people, you don't ask questions. You make statements.
And also know that whenever there's 2 groups of people, that there's an overlap where you people red and blue is an example, both. It's a sort of a purple event.
Yes. And, I'm progressive. I'm not blue.
No,
I forget the Democrats. They've done an awful job. But I'm very progressive.
I can pick one from column A, column B. I can do that too. And also, if you're going to try to make a point, you always want to have something you can say nice about somebody that you're definitely not good with. But you want to know, because even a stop clock is right twice a day. And if a person has to go, was asked, we'll name something nice. I'm not even now going to give an idea which way. Name something nice about, okay, you already lost. You gotta know what you're going to say like that. So that you can say to somebody that, and if they hesitate a split second, you can say something nice about the other person and say, go ahead, I gave you time to think. What do you got? And then say, without saying, well, the best thing he did was he stole the idea from my guy. No, that doesn't count, And all of a sudden, the disclaimer, cutting them down at the ankles, now at the knees. Pretty soon, they'd like to run, but you cut their legs out already. It's the little things, that you acquire, and as long as wow, the idea of going out and holding a sign somewhere. When you do that, would you be sure to get Lefty a picture of that? Because obviously you got to have a picture.
Well, in Bayonne,
it would just be. I'll be wondering.
I love this because in Bayonne we got 50 wheelchair ramps from businesses because I would go up to their business, throw a camera in their face, and ask them where's their wheelchair access because normally there was a step. Everywhere in Bayonne there's steps. I throw a camera in their face. Where's your wheelchair access? Oh, we're gonna get it. We're getting it. I got 50 ramps doing that by being an asshole. Really being a jerk.
And it's a step as a wall because often it's simply ground level at the sidewalk, one step up and in, so it's not going to flood.
Let's not forget though, I got assaulted 3 times. Let's not forget, I did get assaulted 3 times. I got smacked. Somebody smacked the shit out of me. But what happened was they smacked the shit out of me. I took them to court. And I said, I'll drop the charges if you put a wheelchair ramp in. And that's what happened. So it all worked out.
Really, people say.
I'd love to see you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I like your style. It's the only way we get it.
It is.
But you didn't need money. You didn't need money. So, well, you need money to be here. No, if you can not do something, if you can negotiate, I won't show up if you do this. And to varying degrees. So that's all it takes sometimes. And it all.
Well, I like your idea, Jim, about finding a fundraiser. I think that as we organize here, that's something I can maybe reach out to the county because they know rich people. I don't know anyone rich. I don't like money, but I can talk to people who can get that ball rolling for us because what we really need is a repeat of 1990 where we're all piled up at the Capitol and crawling up those friggin' steps and refusing to leave.
Well, there's also a smaller thing that could lead up is having one person there for an hour or two every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, different people. I'll take Thursday. Okay, what day do you got? And because it's one sign. I marveled at a guy that had one sign about an appliance place at 9:30. I was coming back and he wasn't there. I mean, he got invited
who lives
in.
near the Capitol?
What's that?
Who lives close enough to the Capitol that they can get me there? I mean, the closest people I have are in Dover, Delaware.
Yeah,
there's no easy bus.
Yeah, well, it's there's more local. I mean, it's more of a local thing where we have 40 districts. It's always your district assembly representatives or whatever the lower house is in Washington. You find an asshole somewhere, and there's plenty. Basically, unless you have somebody you could thank publicly, isn't the way it works. But if it's just that person's name on a sign a block from your house, and one day somebody goes by and gets a picture and it's in somewhere local media, job well done. So it's
El Rampo.
Yeah, and as especially if the sign says something and the perception, the visibility, if it's somebody that obviously would have access issues, it sort of just works,
I want to make a giant, maybe with the pool noodle, I could make a giant blue wheelchair symbol that I could be holding up as I cross, and just being belligerent about it gets people's attention. Yeah. It's an awareness. That's all we need. Be aware.
Yeah. Well, it's polite belligerence. It's not,
Yep.
belligerence with a smile. It's like telling somebody, I like those new shoes to make your big feet look good. What? Was that a compliment? Or,
Yeah.
oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yep. I need something
This is
like
I
that
carry
because
this.
I'm always out there and I am that face here in town, that one
Good.
person.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple other people who are willing to get
Yeah.
out there with me. And like I said,
Well, then
hopefully
you're what
get
I
that
would.
ball rolling. We
You're a
need to
gate.
like bring some little chairs, travel chairs for the people who can walk but have difficulty standing for long periods. And maybe get them little chairs for the sidewalk on the
Now you're
grass.
talking. Yeah. Simple as that. Oh, well, I mean, it's never simple. Don't
Anything
I
you
know
can do to
that?
make
But
it easier for them.
yeah, it is a perception and appearance, and something to say, something that somebody can take away. A little bit.
That
First,
being said, though, I mean, to what Jim was saying before about painting an image and a visual disability selling more, what sells your political message more? Them sitting comfortably in chairs, or I'm not trying to throw dismay to their discomfort, but to that point, does it sell more of your message more if they're grunting it, through the without the chair? I'm not advocating for that. I'm just
bring a cane. Sit there with a cane.
It's all about giving them a break so that they can have the energy to cross the street, come back, take a break, take a hit, go cross the street, come back, take a sip, take a hit.
What's the public smoking
Sounds like El
laws for
Rapador.
patients? Do patients in Washington have better public consumption laws than adults? In other words,
we're not supposed to do it in public. They treat it like alcohol consumption.
okay, but they treat adults and patients the same when it comes to consumption?
Not patients, but you would have to. Most of us don't carry our card anymore, so it's a little. What we do is we just bring our vape, and then nobody knows the difference.
Well, yeah.
Yep. It's too much trouble for them to prove it.
Oh, I'd always advise vapes for anybody who does.
They don't bat an eye at the vape. It's so discreet. I've never seen a problem with it, so that won't be a problem for us at all. If we brought a giant bong, the glass bong's got to stay home.
Yeah, it's not. You don't need to make that statement. Plus,
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
When was the first time you smoked weed, and what was your experience the first time you smoked weed? And how old were you?
Everybody gets the question. I tell people that, Lefty. I don't care if you don't want me to. Everybody gets that question. It's not just you.
Yeah, why do you always say that? Why do you always say that?
It's because it's almost like if it were me, it'd be like in the middle of all this. Why would he say that? Because you don't want to forget and get it done before the end of the show, maybe.
I always ask that question. It's true.
To be fair, Jim, for the same reason that you write down notes, you do tend to trail on a little bit. So I can definitely see Lefty wanting to jump in where he sees an opening.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So anyway,
we need structure. We're getting it in there.
So anyway,
I was 14 years old my first time.
Yeah, me too.
And it was good because I came from trauma-packed background, and no help, no coaching, no guidance. I emancipated myself when I was 16 because of the crazy back and forth of my super religious mom. And and then just
who was your cannabis
I've hoofed it on my
guide?
own since then.
Who was your cannabis guide that first time? The first person you did, or did you acquire some and smoke by yourself? Which is
I was
almost never
lucky.
the case.
My neighbor had an older brother who was in a band. And this being the Northwest, we've had herb out here forever. So that worked out great. That was awesome.
You're in a fairy tale land compared to us, really. As far as that goes.
Well, I grew up in Dover, Delaware. I lived in Salisbury, Maryland, Dale City, Virginia. But I really think, as crazy as it was for my mom to move us out here, not knowing anyone, I needed that medicine, and it was literally the best thing she could have done for me. Because living anywhere else would have been.
How old were you when you moved?
What was that?
Were you like 13 when you moved or something?
I was 13 when I moved, yeah.
Okay.
And then so 14 when I first tried it. So it was the universe knew I needed that medicine, and I was in good care. Mama's arms out here in the Northwest.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good story then. Okay, I mess with Lefty. He's also going to ask what your favorite munchie food is, so like have something ready.
Well, fellas, I really enjoyed
or tell us and
talking
we won't
with
tell
ya.
him. What's that?
I really enjoyed talking with you, but I got to mosey along. I've got my dogs looking at me like, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Dinner. Where's dinner?
Yeah. Pay
What kind of
attention to
dog?
me.
Last question. What kind of dog and what name?
I have two of them. I have Clover and Daisy.
Oh.
Come here. They are Min Pin Dachshund, and Clover's a daughter. Her dad is Pomeranian. So they're just they're the worst service dogs, but they're the best companions ever.
So the last thing I'll leave you with, my best friend, ever since I met her and until I think it was like a couple years ago he died. She had a dachshund. His name was Spencer, and this dog would go after. Oh my God! Look at that little man! Look at that little man!
They're both the ladies.
Ladies,
look at that.
Oh, look how pretty they are. Oh my goodness.
Yes, they're the good girls.
Loving mama.
Oh.
That doesn't stop.
Kisses is the first and only trick you need to teach a dog.
Love it.
It's kind of gross.
Love it. All the love all over you.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I had a blast, and I hope you invite me back.
Yeah, Jessica, please, I ask you to please go to either of the links you see under my name there. I try to incorporate autism throughout features throughout my channel, and I'd love to for you to hear my input on it and the story I share about my own personal story with autism as well.
And I love it. Yeah.
If you ever see me crazy, do some laps with me in the wheelchair. We'll do some wheelchair laps together.
Lefty's going to be waiting for. He's going to be waiting for a picture of your street corner, the next street corner you go to.
Yes.
We're expecting. We're expecting a picture.
Share and get your links. What's your first name? Bucketman.
Peter.
Peter, nice to meet you. And
and I'm going to tell you something. You don't need to ever write my email down. Everybody says, let me write it down. I know you can. It's important. It's a license plate thing. A 6 pot for MS. POT for MS at Yahoo. And I say it like that because people remember that part. Oh, what was it? No, it was Yahoo. But it's 6. It's the one I never put on my car because, well, I was hiding things like that, in the 90s when it wasn't even known, for that. But anyway, yeah, if you wanted to see me on a picture, I'd be curious to see that, and I'll return you a living room shot of a bunch of signs that I made for something. Anyway, thanks for being on the show. It's been great.
And Lefty, you're David?
Lefty, I'm Edward Grimes.
Edward, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Edward, Peter, Jim, it was an absolute pleasure. And I, again, look forward to speaking with you fellas. Good luck with all of your ventures.
Same here. You too.
Much
we do
love.
the same thing. You do what I do over there. It's great. I love this. I love it. Yes. That's amazing.
So Lefty.
That was good. You two are like peas in a pod, you know that?
I know.
What we have to start doing now is doing a content series where we corner people who are wrongfully using handicapped bathrooms and berate them.
Okay.
Yes, or just that using handicapped spaces when they shouldn't. I think that would be incredible.
You can't film in the bathroom though. That's the only problem.
That pesky rule.
Yeah,
How do you know that?
I saw somebody get in trouble for it. And
Oh, a friend.
Once.
Yeah, okay.
It maybe happened once or 1,000 times. I don't know.
But it happened never.
All right, I have to make a phone call. I have to call the Carteret Performing Arts Center because they didn't have wheelchair access the other day when I went to go see Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I didn't like it, so I'm going to give them a call.
Oh,
Here's their number. I hope you can
What
hear
about
me.
the speaker?
Okay.
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I'll mute myself too.
I don't hear the phone ringing. It's not working. Hold on. This is not working. I have no phone here. That's weird.
I'll mute you.
Hold on. Hello? Damn. Yeah, hold on. My phone is not set up here for some reason. Oh, yes, here. Which one?
Well, in the interim, I'm wondering if you mute somebody, are you the mutant or is the person you muted the mutant?
Keep talking. Yeah, you're on 7 and 8. Keep talking, Jim.
About what? Are you a
There you
mutant
go.
or not?
Just making sure you're on 7 and 8 here. Okay, I'm trying to just get audio here, and
Oh, I see.
trying to
47
get
years
money
ago is longer
We're good.
than
No,
most
I'm
people
good now.
calculate. No, you can't stop me now. Come on, I
Okay.
got a reputation.
Let's see.
Gotta uphold it.
Let me play with this here. Preset. Call in. It should be call in. Not intended to be caller.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time with this.
Are you having a hard time making it so we can hear it, or just a
Yeah.
hard time making the call?
Yeah.
Well, just give us. Can you just call? Oh, we heard that.
You hear it?
Yeah.
The party you have reached is unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello, this is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with Sativa Cross. I had my wheelchair at the Emerson, Lake and Palmer concert the other day. And I went to use the wheelchair ramp that you had to the mezzanine. And when I opened the door, there's another door, and that door was locked. The second door was locked. On the outside, there's a key. So it looks like I need to go find somebody to go get into the concert. And there really is not accessibility. There was, who do you ask? You got somebody in a wheelchair, and it was just a nightmare. So I decided to just go in myself, and I went to the right, and I got a good seat anyway. Didn't matter. I actually had really good seats. I was in the first row. So bravo. So can you believe that?
Brag.
Yeah, I got in the first row. I took the first row. I saw Carl Palmer from the first row because of their ignorance and ableism. I got to see Carl Palmer in the front row. So yeah, thank you for your ableism and ignorance. But this is for the next guy. What I'm saying to you is for the next person that really, I mean, I can walk, so I'm good. As far as if I had to walk, I would. But you got people that can't walk that would be in a situation where they'd have to wait outside till either they or somebody they were with found somebody to get the key, whoever had the key. Hey, who's got the key? Who's got the key for the cripple? Who's got the key for the cripple? All right, Rebecca won now. Key for the cripple. Roger. Key for the cripple, Roger. Roger, cripple. Roger. Key, Roger. So yeah,
Danger, cripple impact.
Can you please fix that problem? because if it happened to me, it can happen to anybody. Because you actually happened to the wrong guy. It actually happened to the wrong guy. So fix that problem, please. Carteret PAC, Carteret Performing Arts Center. That was awful. Awful treatment of the disabled. And I'm going to keep talking until your beep runs out, which is usually about 4 or 5 minutes, depending on your phone service. So I just like to keep going because I probably have no lives and they're probably listening to this message all the way through anyway. Because
what is this place called?
The Carteret PAC.
Hold on.
Roger wheelchair. Roger cripple key. Roger. Really?
You ought to play new words to Cripple Creek.
What day did this happen?
I need the cripple key. He sent me for the cripple key. He sent me. I need the cripple key.
Well, look, yeah.
He sent me. Yeah.
Okay. Cripple Creek, if you spring a leak, that could be because of lack of accessible toilets at an event.
Yeah, or you're
a wheelchair ramp and you got to go. If I spring a leak.
God awful. What day was this concert?
Thursday. I left the show and went to the concert. Is my phone ringing again?
No, that's me.
Is that you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're still going here. We're still leaving a message. Hold on.
Tell them a joke.
Who are you calling?
The party you have reached is unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone.
Are you calling the Carteret PAC as well?
Hi. So I was roaming your property the other day. Don't worry about why. I was just roaming around, and I got really uncomfortable when I saw this guy in a wheelchair struggling through the doors and there was no wheelchair access for him. And think about how I feel. I'm minding my own business, walking through your property, doing my own thing, whatever that is. And I have to deal with seeing this poor man not have a wheelchair access. And you know what? Honestly, I'm not going to keep giving you guys my business if you guys can't show the handicap respect. That business being me stepping onto your property without your knowledge and walking around. But that aside, this is a problem. You guys need to fix this because this is disrespectful. And who does he talk to? Who does he advocate to at that point? He was trying to go see a show. He had good seats. They were first row, and you could have robbed him of that by blocking his entrance. Okay, bye.
I think you might have got it backwards. Well, that's all right. That's fine. I like it. I liked it.
It'll play with their minds. It's good.
They're getting mixed up.
What happened to Mikey?
They're just going to be frantically looking to the photo. The cameras now is just like, there's someone just wandering around.
Yeah. We being pranked? No, you're not.
You guys are being punked.
You're being punked and trolled right now because you have no wheelchair access, and you're
being trunked.
I'm still leaving a message. How long has this been going for? Let's see.
This is
6 minutes and 15 seconds. Oh, wow. Look at that. Who leaves a message 6 minutes long?
Your grandmother.
All right. I guess they're going to be a fan of the show for.
And then I wanted to tell you about the tennis game that I was going to have today. I didn't have it. I don't actually play tennis. That was a thing I made up in my mind. It's just like the long, drawn out message from your grandmother. It's like 6 to 7 minutes long.
Well, what do people do when that happens? They go boop, and they're on the next message, right?
Yeah. This is
so like at whatever point they've had enough. Maybe what? 30 seconds, a minute.
Yeah, but
the rest is fun. I agree. It's fun.
This is the Carteret PAC. They're probably sitting there like, we have nothing else to do. Let's just sit here and listen to this message.
It'd be really funny. They got like last night. They clear their voicemail. They come in this morning. How is this already full? And it's 2 messages.
2 words: wheelchair access. You guys screwed up. So now you're fodder for our podcast. We're just going to make fun of you until you fix your problem.
And I'm not going to wander around your property anymore.
Because that was really crappy.
I was doing some cool stuff too. I was doing some really cool stuff. I was tagging.
You know how many old people were at Emerson, Lake and Palmer? It was all old people.
Really?
There was people with walkers. There was people, a lot of old people.
They were big, like in very early 70s, 70 even, I think. When did they make their...
Listen, theater. We're not all the rich who can afford the Teslas for their feet, all right?
Yeah.
Which some of us have disabilities and have trouble walking.
Well, was Robert Palmer the Palmer?
Carl Palmer.
Carl Palmer. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. See, I don't think I knew them as anything other than being a group without really knowing much of anything about the individual. And that's usually my shortfall when it comes to...
If you're watching this, have free time right now, give them a call and just, tell them what's on your mind. Even if it's just like, your worries about the current economy. Share that with the theater. Call them up and just have a conversation with their voicemail.
Ask them if they know what happened to Lake and Emerson.
Yeah.
I think Emerson was a suicide and Greg Lake had pancreatic cancer.
Did they play with anybody else? Or did they just get together or what?
I saw Emerson, Lake and Cozy Powell, back in the 80s. That was a great show.
Yeah.
Finally got to see the trio, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah. All three of them live. I could say I saw all three of them live. Not at the same time, but that's okay. For me, it's good. I'm happy.
I saw, what was it? I think the oldest group I've seen ever perform was probably ZZ Top right before what's his name died at the Basie in Red Bank.
Oh wow!
Excellent show.
I bet.
At the Gibbons at the guitar. No, which one died first?
No, Dusty Hill.
Billy Gibbons.
Dusty Hill died.
Dusty, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I saw Janis Joplin. So
You did?
I grew up a lot with a lot of Springsteen. And I'll tell you one thing. There's not a lot of artists out there because these guys are getting on now. They've been getting on, and there's not a lot of them as open about their thoughts about time passing, death, and everything like that. But Bruce, I just don't hear the kind of like shared thoughts that I hear from him about I'm seeing. What's the sax player's name? He talked about seeing him in a couple of his
Clemens, the big man.
Yes. Got to see one of his last shows too. That was truly a giant stadium in I want to say 2009.
I'm glad I'm on the headphones here because even enough when I'm saying I saw Janis Joplin, like that's ending any conversations. I know she's like right over there going, I saw the Beatles in 1960. I mean, all of them.
She saw the
That's
Beatles?
not fair. That's just not fair.
In 64.
No, we don't want to talk anymore. We don't talk to Kathy. She saw the Beatles?
Yeah, but not just then. From like the second row after like media and invitees. So it was like somebody had tickets. Father helped build the stage, had extra tickets. She had cheap seat tickets with friends and ditched them for a seat second row pretty freaking quick, and has an unused Beatles ticket from a 64 tour.
How can she prove it's unused?
Well, because it's not ripped or anything, and they rip it in half when you give it to them, So anyway, oh yeah, and she did. It was like a 13-year-old with her. I try to get like waved like that, like a little finger wave, and he turned around and waved back. So that's why she likes him best, and that's why I got to see him twice because she paid for a ticket so we could go. Hey, maybe not now because Sir Paul's, it's his age gets on people and it's his fault for singing in a high notes that nobody can hit. He's lucky he was hitting them even 5 years ago. But I got to tell you, there's nothing like it. It was just something special, And of course, seen Ringo a couple times. So I've seen half the Beatles.
Pieces of history. That right there, right back there. That is I actually can't believe I've never brought this up before. That picture right behind me. For my 26th birthday, I got that from my parent. We used to live next to Bruce's mother before she died. Wonderful woman, very funny, and that is three-piece picture of Bruce. One of which is signed by him. The other is signed by his mother. And the message signed by his mother says, "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have Bruce to begin with."
Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, his parents would go to local concerts, a real lot, So they're pretty much big fans themselves.
My dad used to, when we were younger, we every now and then we go to his property for Halloween, and oh my God, he would blow up that property with Halloween decorations and just people hiding and around the property and jumping out crazy masks and shit like that. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of property he had then. Back in the day when a friend of actually my younger brothers went Christmas caroling, where you could walk up to the house, knock on the door, and Christmas carol. Now, this is when Julianne was living there. This is before Patty, so this is going way back. And she dutifully stood there while they did a whole song. And I've always thought, that's pretty nice. I mean, who the hell does that? Even then, because he's pretty big, So you got extra points for that. He's pretty regular as somebody can be at that point. And a good storyteller too. He really is a good storyteller. No, his Broadway thing, storytelling. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I was impressed. What
was that?
I hope that's not in my head.
Yeah, that's not. That was a lie.
They hung up.
That's what that was. Them hanging. No, that's not what that whole.
They hung up, and then I had StreamYard. I had the volume up because of the phone. So when they hung up, it brought StreamYard back on, and that's what was the echo because they hung up. Just a few audio files out there that want to know what happened.
Oh man!
What was that echo? Well, that was what it was.
That was an evil sounding echo. Seriously,
back again here.
You should call them tomorrow and just be like, "Hi, do you have? Did you receive a voicemail from me?" And if they say no, just be like, "Well, I have proof that you did." So
yes, here it is.
Now I hear an echo again.
I know. I'm just playing. All right. So this is. Well, I was hoping that was the first time we could do the ending with somebody's message, but okay. Definitely. I want to thank Mad Hatter for having us. This is a great place. We had a fun party on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Oh my goodness.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
I enjoyed it very much.
Other than Lefty being cornered for return.
Oh yeah. That was fun.
Jim, he'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
It's gross. Anyway, well,
all right. Well, thank you, Mad Hatter. You guys are the best, and we're really hitting the ground running here. It's been really busy and a lot of fun stuff going on here. A lot of plans.
Again, please go visit Mad Hatter Dispensary in Avenel. They have probably, again, I've said this at the event, they have the best opening menu I've seen of a starting dispensary so far. Very vast, very wide. All things that have been said within the vicinity of that property before. But we've discussed that already.
I tried the pre-rolls from Just a Woman Cannabis. I tried the rose petal one, the Lotus. It was amazing. It was just so nice and lovely.
Did it canoe?
No, it was rolled great with a glass tip that I'm saving. And it was amazing, just really nice.
It sounds like my theory is correct.
Really nice, yeah.
And we also enjoyed that pineapple donut on Saturday.
Pineapple donut was on point. The cheddar cheese Mad Hatter's home brand cheddar cheese was my favorite for my pain and for the
cheese.
Yeah, cheddar cheese. You had cheddar cheese out there. I was smoking some of that too.
Yep. We had a lot of fun Saturday, and you know what? There, that and the Mad Hatter is going to be doing plenty of more dispensaries coming up. You know, 420 is coming up. Weather's getting nicer. I want to bet my bottom dollar that it's going to be a busy place this coming summer. So, the place to be this summer when the weather gets warm is Mad Hatter Dispensary.
It's a destination. It really is. It's a great destination, and we can talk about the other event space because that's what we do with a podcast. So we can talk about the other event space as well as this event space, which is for cannabis buying. So basically, what we want people to do is to come here, buy cannabis, and then go to the event space. So how do we make sure that people come here first to buy cannabis and then go to the event?
Well, we've discussed, what we need to do for the event space, but
yeah. So we're going to have a lot of fun this year, and Mad Hatter is the place to be. So you need to come here, check it out. Even if there's not an event, come here, check it out. Come here, check it out on a Tuesday or Thursday when we're here. You can come in, talk to us. We can have some fun together. So thank you.
Thank you. More stuff onto Lefty. He'll deal with any transaction you want to.
But no, I said I will not sell certain things here.
But you'll do returns.
A man walked in.
Fine,
I'm not going to tell the story. I'm not going to tell that.
Your call. I
didn't. You brought it up, and I don't want to. I know.
I didn't bring it up. I brought up the general concept that you are someone who will handle returns.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not handling returns. No, not handling nothing like no. I don't have to deal with any of that, so I'm good.
For you?
I'm just a nonprofit that comes in here twice a week and basically consults and make sure that they have their dab bar stocked well. That's all. Make sure they have rigs for the dab bar and 91% alcohol, all that kind of stuff. The little things, the Q-tips, things that you would miss if you didn't have a dab bar in your history. So alcohol wipes.
And on that note,
that was a fun, and you were like a bud tender, bro. You were doing amazing as a bud tender. I gotta say,
that's how I got started. I love bud tending. I love talking to people about weed. I love talking to them about their experiences with weed. It's fun. It's.
I could tell.
I said a little bit of this on Saturday that I didn't think ever I would be in a place where I could bring this kind of meaningful help to people. In like a way I could compare like my father on some level, who is a physician. Like he helps people. Like I feel like I'm helping people.
Yes, you are. Definitely on Saturday, you're definitely helping people. It was fun to watch.
Like I said, Saturday, I'm going to be starting to practice elective open heart surgery. I've got a wonderful volunteer within the neighborhood. We'll see how things go.
CMMNJ.org. UFCW Local 152. Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and SativaCross.org, where you can donate $1 or $100 to our organization to get us wheelchair ramps and home grow. Two things: wheelchair ramps and home grow. Give us that, will you?
Easy.
Those two things. Is that much to ask for? Wheelchair ramps and home grow. Come on.
You're gonna make Lefty pop. I can't speak. Pop a blood vessel.
Now we're getting to the list, and this is what I'm mad. Now, today is an angry list for me. Today, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's hopeful, helpful, hurtful. Today, I'm just angry. This list is going to make me angry because these are all people that died waiting for cannabis because of ignorant and ableist people.
Agreed.
Yeah, this makes me mad today. Some of these people shouldn't even be on this list.
Fact.
Cheryl Miller. We talked about her before. We talk about her every week. And we should. She fought for cannabis. She was one of the first in New Jersey for sure, to fight for medical cannabis from her wheelchair, from using her disability as an ability, as a superpower almost. Yeah, no, a superpower. Power to change minds and hearts. That's a superpower. Sabina Rose, 15-month-old baby, 25-hour seizure. 15-month-old baby, 25-hour seizure. Do the math. And do the math where she had to spend four of her months on this earth finding a psychiatrist to speak to her at 1 year old.
Well, to be a legal patient in New Jersey, yeah.
To be a patient, she had to speak to a psychiatrist. Took her 4 months, time she didn't have.
Yeah. What was she going to do? Not like the right mobile, about 15 months. Less than that. Yeah.
She said goo-goo instead of gaga. I need more time with the subject.
Well, actually, she, in effect, may have at least, if not saved, greatly improved Vivian Wilson's life, who was 3 at the time. Of course, with parents that had to get her to Colorado to get the medicine for her epilepsy. So the awareness for children really began then. And another person on the list, when you get to Roger Barber, the lawyer who had a child who had epilepsy, that put New Jersey on the map by, in his time here with us, got it to be where New Jersey students were allowed to have Schedule I substance on school grounds in order to be able to have their state-sanctioned sip of medicine in a liquid form. So to be able to do that, yeah, Roger Barber, you pass over him, but when you do, that's what will be on my mind, that he put New Jersey, the first state to do that. Colorado was second, not by a lot. Roger got New Jersey there first, and he didn't see the end zone though.
Diane Ripatella, Gracie, Cindy May, Marie from Cancer in Pennsylvania. It's Ryan's mom. Jack, Joan Ford. She wrote a book about epilepsy and her experience in the 40s with epilepsy. People didn't understand it. They thought you were supposed to shove a piece of wood in their mouth, and they didn't. The nuns used to say she was possessed by the devil. They used to throw holy water on Joan. They said, don't hang out with Joan. Stay away from her. And they shunned her. You should read that book. It's called From Caesar to Me. You can find it on Amazon. It's 60 pages. It's a short read, amazing read. From Caesar to Me. Because Caesar used to have seizures. Julius Caesar.
That's why it was called Caesar's disease. I guess back then and for however long,
Yeah, they thought he was talking to the gods when he was having a seizure.
Yeah. He's the Lou Gehrig of having a disease named after you in his day.
Yeah, that's always been a concept.
No, I thought they just named a salad after him. That's it.
Lou Gehrig's scream. Lou Gehrig's blue cheese salad.
Randy Robertson, who had cancer, and they gave him the Whipple procedure before they gave him RSO. Before he got cannabis oil, they said, no, you got to try this Whipple procedure first. This is better. This Whipple procedure is so good, It's the best flip-up procedure ever. Try this
I
first
know, bro.
before you try the RSO and the oil. No. I want the oil first. How about we do the oil first, and then you can rip my guts out. You can rip my heart out.
Do you remember when the law was first passed in New Jersey? There was language contained that you had to try all available options first.
Yeah, all available options first.
That got kicked out of committee when we had some ridicule going that day. Yeah, well,
The ignorance and ableism. It's alive and well today. Polly Connolly, Bill Buckman, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger Barber. I dabbed Roger Barber out for the first time. And I told him, I'm like, I'm going to dab you out. He's like, I couldn't wait. He's like, come on over tonight. We're going to do dabs. I'm like, all right. So I brought some dabs over. And he's like, come on, man, let's go do a dab. Come on, man, let's go do a dab. I'm like, all right, Roger. And he did that dab like he did a million of them before. He just took it like he's ready for number 2. I was like, yeah, Roger. We had some fun together. He was great. So I gave him his first dab. And that was exciting. And I think we watched UFC after that. I can't even remember. I was really high as well. We had dinner or something.
Or something.
Something. I forget.
Did he roofie you?
Did he roofie me?
Don't sound like you really recall the night that well.
I got when somebody wants to dab
We
after
had
the
dinner or something. The point is, I woke up at home in my bed at like noon.
True. Jay Orletto. Who you want to roll with? That was Jay.
Jay Leno.
No, Jay Orletto. He's a singer. And it was easier for him to get heroin on the street corner than it was to get medical cannabis at the time.
That's
Because at the time you had to jump through all these hoops.
Getting distracted there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh.
Yeah. Weed woman.
Oh, it's Weed Woman's here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're doing the very solemn list here, but Weed Woman is out here. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt this. Weed Woman is out. Actually, okay. That's enough. I didn't see that. It threw me off. Where was I? Jay Orletto. It was easier to get heroin.
Jim, you're muted. Jim, you're muted.
Yeah, the YouTube video of your theme song. Who are you going to roll with? Was that Jay with you? Was that Jay?
He's all over that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you just show that one time in the beginning for the theme song? That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do whatever I want here. I just,
Well, the thing but that'd be nice to associate Jay, because he's remembered at the end too.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
I regret not going to meet him and just smoking him up that day. Because that was 2 weeks before he died. He called me asking me for help, and I told him I gave him all the help that I could with as far as what to do, and it was just like overwhelming at the time. Well, at the time, he had to spend a lot of money, pretty much.
Yeah.
And time which he didn't have, and when you're in pain or whatever you're dealing with, and it's easier to get that heroin than it is to get weed. You get the heroin. Ella Bagelman had brain cancer. She came to the State House a bunch of times. Hattie Kosha was my grandma, and I used to bring a vape bag down to her apartment. I'd fill it up and drive it down there. And I'd do a breathing test with Grandma. I said, hey, Grandma, we're going to test your breathing today. And she knew it was weed. She knew. And she loved it. She would ask me for it eventually. She said, where's the weed bag at? Come on, get the... Hey, Grandson, get the weed bag out of here. I know what that is. Get it out of here. I need it now. In her mind, she was saying that.
Somebody's mind, yeah.
Somebody's, yeah.
Bust out that weed there, Buster. I know what that is, and I need some. It's helping me. Jackie Rickard. You knew Jackie Rickard.
Oh, yeah, she was one of the 4 Commando Squad members.
Commando Squad.
Yeah, the Commando Squad got a Freedom Fighter of the Month award as a group at one point.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. And she had a similar fight in Wisconsin as we had at the same time in New Jersey, and actually had it rougher than New Jersey, but it was the Jackie Rickard medical marijuana bill that kept getting reintroduced and not passed. And the legislator there championing it for her was Tammy Baldwin, who's been a U.S. Senator for like a dozen years now. Yeah.
Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian Kuprian. Am I saying that right? Kuprian?
Kuprian, that's correct. Yeah. You had to know him. I don't generally describe guys as a sweet, but he's the sweetest guy I ever knew. He's a festival buddy, you know.
Jim, I think you're sweet. You too, Bucketman. I think you're both sweet.
Thank you.
Just saying. Flo, Carl, Thorne Peters. That's a character right there. We could spend an hour on Thorne Peters. He was selling weed outside the courthouse in Tennessee. He would fight for no mens rea. You all heard of no mens rea, right?
No, some people haven't.
It means not a guilty mind. You have to have a guilty mind to be guilty of a crime. So did Rosa Parks have no mens rea? Did she have mens rea? I'm sorry. Did Rosa Parks have a guilty mind when she decided to sit in the front of the bus and break the law? She's breaking the law. Was she wrong or was the law wrong? Well, obviously the law was wrong.
Laws of nature, laws of man. There are 2 different kinds of law. The law of nature says that if you sit on a tack, you will bleed from the ass. That does not mean you have to pass a law against having tacks on chairs. The law of nature takes care of that.
You have to have.
I got to credit Doug. I got to credit Doug Stanhope with that. Though. I'm sorry, that wasn't. I'm playing. Doug Stanhope. That was one of his things.
We had laws that black people couldn't marry white people. There was laws against that. We had to pass laws that blacks can marry whites. We had to pass laws for that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's mens rea. Who's the victim? There's no victim. The entity is the victim. If you get a chance to Google Thorne Peters, watch one of his videos. They're all the same. They're all amazing, and he's got a great speaking voice. He was really good, and you can watch one video and you've pretty much seen them all because he would just repeat the same mantra over and over and over again till it sunk in, and it sunk in with me because I was like amazed by it. I loved it. It changed my outlook on a few things because he was against this whole thing of medical marijuana. We should have this plant free anyway. There's no reason that we need these laws in place so that we can have the free plant. The plant is free, should be free. But that's a different playing field. We're not on that playing field. I would love to. I'd love to live like that, but I can't. Not when there's people out here suffering that have to live by these laws. And they killed him in prison. He died in prison. They killed him. Frank, Lorraine, Terry Harris from diabetes. He spent a lot of time coming out to the State House and coming out to I&E tours in Trenton and other places. He was a cool dude. Charlotte Figge, Sheriff Ford McCullough, Jay Bird, Brennan Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, LaWanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia. Time goes by, but it still hurts.
The memory remains.
Jeff Oakes. We all know the story about Jeff, and if Phil Murphy took Jeff Oakes under his wing, we would have home grow today. But he didn't.
Well, maybe, before he is no longer governor at the end of less than a year from now, we should reinvigorate asking for a posthumous answer to Jeff's question. An actual answer to his question, because he never answered his question that he read aloud at a town hall meeting. He read it aloud. Didn't like the question. How is it that I can live in a state that will help me die with a right to die law? But will help me die, but not let me grow a plant to help me live.
Yeah, he still owes us an answer.
How does that coincide? Governor should address it. He didn't like that at all.
He deflected very well. Deflected like a boss.
Yeah, you might. I don't know. However, you would do it, like things you might want to put on real quick on a moment's notice on a podcast. But at one point, I know you had video of that. I don't know if you still have access to it. It wasn't like real particularly clear, but knowing what's happened, the parts that are clear are stunning. The idea that his, I guess, chief of staff or person in charge at that time helped him get that question asked, because she was the one giving the 3x5 file cards with the question written on it to the governor for him to read. And she blindsided her own boss, having him read that question last, man. She deserves an award for that.
I spent all day with her and trying to get that done.
Yeah, well, that was amazing. But that she would do it. He obviously didn't know it was coming.
No. Once she saw Jeff at the second meeting, she saw Jeff. At the first meeting, I talked to her and then told her the story. And then at the second meeting, she met Jeff and she worked this plan out where she was going to give him the last card.
Brilliant.
Biggest deflection ever.
Yep.
Never got an answer to that question.
Let's see if he remembers even. Basically just asking, do you remember? You don't have to say what's the answer.
How can you not remember that? The whole crowd gasped.
Do you remember Jeff even? And then have that video titled, do you remember Jeff, Governor? And start kind of putting that out there. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I vote yes. What do you say? Second?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion passed. All right.
See you on Thursday. Hashtag Jeff's Law. Hashtag They Shall Grow. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds unconquered. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Yes, we will. All right, man. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.